The wedding hall was full of people. Laughter, music, and soft lights made everything look perfect. White flowers were placed everywhere, and the smell of fresh roses filled the air. The guests were smiling, taking pictures, and waiting for the bride to walk down the aisle. Everyone looked happy, except one boy, Liam, just 15 years old, sat quietly in the front row. He wore a neat black suit, but his face was full of worry. His hands were cold, and his heart was beating fast. He kept looking at the entrance, then at his phone, then back at the man standing at the front. His father, Mark. Mark looked proud. He stood tall in his cream-colored suit, waiting for the love of his life, Jessica, to become his wife. His eyes sparkled with joy. He had lost his first wife years ago in a car accident, and for a long time, he lived with pain and loneliness. Then, 2 years ago, Jessica entered his life like a blessing. She was beautiful, smart, and full of charm. She cared for Mark deeply, or at least, that's what everyone thought. Even Liam tried to like her at first, for his father's sake, but deep inside, something always felt wrong. Liam had seen things no one else had. He had heard things late at night, strange phone calls, whispers behind closed doors. Jessica was different when no one was watching. She would smile at Mark in front of people, but ignore Liam when they were alone. Sometimes, she would even give him cold, angry looks when his father wasn't looking. Liam tried to tell his dad once, but Mark had simply smiled and said, "She's just trying to get used to our family. Liam, give her time." But time only made things worse. 2 weeks before the wedding, Liam made a decision. He started watching Jessica closely. He followed her. He checked her phone when she left it alone. He even recorded one of her phone calls. And what he found changed everything now. Sitting in that decorated wedding hall, Liam held his phone tightly. On the screen was a video that could destroy the whole wedding, a video that showed the truth no one else wanted to see. The music changed. The guests turned their heads toward the door. The bride was here. Jessica walked in slowly, wearing a shining white gown. Everyone gasped. She looked like a dream. Her long dark hair was tied back with a diamond clip, and her lips wore a soft pink smile. She held a bouquet of red roses and walked proudly toward Mark. But Liam didn't smile. He stood up slowly, his eyes locked on Jessica. As she reached the front, the priest smiled and asked the traditional question: "If anyone has any reason why these two should not be married, speak now, or forever hold your peace." The hall went silent. For a moment, everything stood still. Then Liam stepped forward. His voice shook, but he spoke loud enough for all to hear. "I have something to say," he said, holding up his phone. Gasps echoed across the hall. Some guests turned to look. Jessica froze. Her smile disappeared in a second. Mark looked confused. "This isn't a joke, Liam," Mark said gently. "Please sit down." But Liam shook his head. "I'm sorry, Dad, but I can't let you marry her. I know what she's been hiding from you." He tapped the screen of his phone. The video began to play through the speakers. In the video, Jessica was seen sitting in her car. She was talking on the phone, her voice sharp and different from the sweet tone she used around Mark. "He doesn't suspect anything. He trusts me. It'll all be over after the wedding," she said, laughing softly. A man's voice replied from the other end, "Good. Make sure he signs everything before the ceremony. We'll disappear after that." The hall fell silent again. No one moved. Jessica's face turned pale. Her eyes darted around the room, looking for a way to escape. Mark stepped back, shocked and speechless. Then suddenly, the sound of police sirens came from outside the hall. Guests turned toward the door as 2 officers entered, walking quickly toward the front. "Jessica Walters," one of the officers said. "You are under arrest for fraud and identity theft." Jessica tried to run, but it was too late. The officers grabbed her arms and handcuffed her right in front of everyone. Her bouquet fell to the floor. Her veil slipped off. Tears filled Mark's eyes. He looked at Liam, his son, his only family, the one who had just saved him from the biggest mistake of his life. Liam looked down, still shaking. He had done what was right, even though it broke his heart to do it. Liam had always been quiet, not shy, just someone who kept things inside. Ever since he was little, he knew how to watch people. He could see the difference between fake smiles and real ones. Maybe it started after his mother died. He was only 10 at the time. It was a rainy evening when the news came. A speeding truck had crashed into his mother's car. She never made it out. After that, Liam changed. He didn't talk much at school. He stopped laughing at silly jokes. But one thing stayed the same: love for his father. Mark tried everything to make life feel normal again. He cooked breakfast, helped with homework, and told bedtime stories, even when he was tired. For 5 years, it was just the two of them. Then Jessica came into their life. She was beautiful, soft-spoken, and confident. Liam remembered the first time they met. It was at a park. Mark had brought Liam along, and Jessica brought ice cream. She smiled at him, but her eyes didn't. That was the first sign. But Liam said nothing. His father looked so happy. Mark started smiling again. He hummed songs while driving. He laughed more. Liam hadn't seen that side of him in years. So he forced himself to accept Jessica. Maybe she just needed time. But as the weeks turned into months, Liam began to notice small things. Jessica would act nice in front of Mark, but cold when they were alone. She once whispered sharply, "Stay out of my way," when Mark wasn't around. Another time, she took Liam's phone and went through it without asking, then smiled like nothing happened. Liam didn't understand why, but he kept his distance. Mark didn't see it. He was in love. He said things like, "She makes me feel alive again, and you'll grow to love her too." Liam wanted to believe that. He really did. But one night changed everything. It was late. Liam couldn't sleep. He went to the kitchen for water and heard Jessica's voice. She was talking on the phone in the living room. Liam stood quietly behind the wall. She didn't know he was there. "Yes, he has money. The house, the business, everything. He's easy to control," she whispered. Liam's heart dropped. "Don't worry. I'll handle the boy. He's soft," she added, then laughed quietly. Liam slowly stepped back and went to his room. That night, he didn't sleep at all. His mind was full of questions. Who was she talking to? What did she mean by handle the boy? Was she using his father? Or worse, planning something? He knew no one would believe him, especially not Mark, so he started gathering proof. He began recording her phone calls, using a secret app. He copied her texts, and even took photos of her meeting strange people outside the house. Once, she told Mark she was going to the spa, but Liam followed her and saw her meet a man in a black car. She gave him a white envelope and got a small package in return. Liam hid behind a tree and filmed the whole thing. He didn't understand what it was, but he knew it wasn't right. Later, he searched the internet and realized the man she met had a record. He had been arrested before for fraud and fake IDs. That confirmed Liam's fear. Jessica wasn't just unfriendly. She was dangerous. But Liam stayed quiet. He didn't want to ruin his father's happiness without solid proof. He waited for the right moment. The wedding was in 2 weeks. Liam decided that would be the day. He saved every video, photo, and audio file. He created a folder on his phone and protected it with a password. He even sent copies to his best friend, just in case something happened. Every day leading up to the wedding, Jessica grew more controlling. She told Liam not to speak during dinner. She locked her room when Mark wasn't home. Once she even raised her voice and said, "After the wedding, you'll have to follow my rules." Liam just nodded, but inside, he was planning. He felt scared sometimes. What if she found out? What if she took his phone? But he kept calm. He had to protect his father. The night before the wedding, Liam couldn't sleep again. He sat by the window, looking at the stars, thinking about his mom. He whispered, "Help me do the right thing, please." The next morning was bright. The house was full of flowers. Mark looked happier than ever. Jessica wore a white dress and gave Liam a fake smile. "You look nice," she said sweetly. Liam didn't reply. He just looked away. In the car on the way to the wedding hall, Mark kept talking about how excited he was. Liam stayed quiet, holding his phone tightly in his pocket. When they arrived, the place was full of guests. Music was playing. People were laughing. Liam watched Jessica move from table to table, greeting everyone like a perfect bride. But he knew the truth. He stood near the stage, waiting. When the moment came, he would be ready. Then the priest asked the question, that one sentence. "If anyone here has a reason why these two should not be joined in marriage, speak now." Liam's heart raced. His fingers shook, but he stepped forward. And just like that, everything changed. Jessica stood frozen. Everyone's eyes were on her. The room was silent except for the sound of Liam's video still playing. In the video, her voice was clear. She was talking about Mark like he was a target, not a person. She said he was easy to control. She said she would handle Liam. The guests were shocked. Some covered their mouths. Others stared at Mark to see his reaction. Mark looked like someone had punched him in the chest. His face had lost all color. He kept looking between Jessica and Liam, trying to understand what was happening. Jessica finally moved. She stepped forward and tried to take the phone from Liam's hand. "Stop this. This is fake. He's just a jealous child," she shouted. But Liam stepped back. "It's not fake," he said. "Check the video. Listen to her voice. She's lying to you, Dad." Mark raised his hand to stop them both. He looked at Jessica. "Is that your voice?" he asked softly. Jessica didn't answer. Her lips trembled. Then she turned to the guests and started crying. "This is a setup. I'm being framed," she yelled. But no one looked convinced. But truth was in her eyes now. Everyone could see it. Then came the sound that made Jessica's knees shake. Sirens, police sirens, coming closer. Jessica turned toward the door. 2 officers walked in. One of them called her name loudly. "Jessica Walters," he said. She didn't respond. She tried to step back, but it was too late. The officers moved quickly. One of them held her arm while the other read out loud, "You are under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and criminal conspiracy." Jessica started screaming, "You can't do this. I'm getting married. He my fiancé." Mark couldn't move. He just stood there, still in shock. Jessica was dragged away in front of everyone. Her makeup was ruined, her dress torn slightly. From the officer's grip, the dream wedding was over. The guests began whispering. Some stood up, unsure what to do. Others looked at Liam, then at Mark. Liam stood still, watching Jessica being taken away. He had done it, but instead of feeling proud, he felt empty. The man he wanted to protect was still standing silently, not saying a word. After the police left, Mark slowly walked over to Liam. He looked down at his son, eyes full of confusion and pain. "How long have you known?" he asked. Liam took a deep breath. "A few weeks. I heard her talking on the phone. Then I started recording everything." Mark looked down. His hands were shaking. "Why didn't you tell me before?" Liam's voice was soft. "Because I didn't think you'd believe me. You were so happy. I didn't want to ruin it unless I was sure." Mark sat down on the edge of the stage. He held his head in his hands. The guests began to leave quietly. Nobody said much. The wedding was clearly over. The decorations, the flowers, the music kit, all meant nothing now. Liam sat next to his father. They didn't speak for a while. Then Mark whispered, "I feel like such a fool." Liam didn't know what to say. He had never seen his father look so broken. Mark continued, "I thought I was getting a second chance. I thought she really loved me." Liam looked at him. "She fooled everyone, not just you." Mark nodded, slowly. "But you saw it. You trusted your gut. You were brave." Liam looked away. He didn't feel brave. He had just done what he had to. Mark sighed. "You saved me from a big mistake." Liam finally asked, "Are you mad at me?" Mark shook his head. "Never. I'm sorry I didn't listen earlier. I should have paid more attention." Liam gave a small smile. "I'm just glad it's over." Mark put an arm around Liam's shoulder. "You're all I have, son, and I almost lost you because I was too blind to see the truth." Liam leaned into his father's side. The hall was almost empty now. A few staff members were taking down the decorations. The once joyful place now felt like a quiet shell. Mark stood up and looked around. "Let's go home," he said. Liam nodded. They walked out of the hall together, father and son, side by side. No music, no flowers, no crowd, just silence. But for the first time in weeks, Liam felt like things might finally be okay. They got in the car and drove home. The ride was quiet, but not heavy, more like peaceful. At home, Mark made tea. They sat at the table. Mark asked Liam to tell him everything. Liam explained it all from the first strange phone call to the night he followed Jessica and saw her meeting a man. He told Mark how he recorded the video and sent copies to his friend. Mark listened to every word. When Liam finished, Mark said, "You were smarter than all of us. I should have seen it." Liam said, "You were in love. That's not a bad thing." Mark looked at his son. "I was blind, but not anymore." Liam looked down. "I'm sorry for ruining your big day." Mark reached out and touched Liam's hand. "You didn't ruin it. You saved it. You saved me. You saved us." Liam felt something heavy lift from his heart. Maybe his dad wasn't angry. Maybe he understood now. Maybe things would be better. That night, they didn't talk much more. They watched an old movie together, something they hadn't done in a long time. The couch felt warmer. The house felt safer. And even though there had been no wedding, no celebration, no cake or dancing, Liam knew something good had still happened. The truth had come out. And sometimes, that was enough. Liam woke up the next morning feeling lighter, but his mind was still full. What had happened at the wedding wasn't a dream, it was real. Jessica was gone. The police had taken her away. And his father, he had finally seen the truth? Liam walked into the kitchen where Mark was already sitting at the table with 2 mugs of tea. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept all night. But when he saw Liam, he gave a small smile. "Morning," Mark said softly. Liam sat down. "Morning." There was silence for a few seconds. Then Mark said, "You were right. About everything." Liam didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. Mark took a sip of his tea. "The police called this morning. Jessica confessed to some of the charges. She was part of a group. They target lonely people, get close to them, take their money, then disappear." Liam felt a strange mix of anger and relief. "I knew something was wrong. She was too perfect." Mark nodded. "They said the man she met in the black car is already under investigation. Your video helped them a lot." Liam looked up. "So she'd go to jail?" "Most likely, yes," Mark replied. "She tricked other people too, not just me." Liam leaned back in his chair. "I just don't get it. Why pretend to love someone? Why lie like that?" Mark sighed. "Some people don't care who they hurt. They only care about what they want." Liam looked at his dad. "But you didn't do anything wrong." Mark shook his head. "No, but I was blind. I wanted to believe in love again. I ignored the signs." Liam spoke softly. "You weren't the only one. Everyone believed her." Mark nodded. "But only you were brave enough to say something." Liam felt warm inside, hearing those words. For the first time, he didn't feel like a kid. He felt like someone who had made a difference. Later that day, Mark asked Liam if he wanted to go out for a drive. "Let's get some air," he said. They drove through the city, then out toward the countryside. The green fields passed by as soft music played in the car. It felt peaceful. They stopped at a small diner and sat by the window. As they waited for their food, Mark looked at Liam. "You know, your mom would have been proud of you." Liam looked down. "I wish she were here." Mark's eyes softened. "She is. Maybe not in the way we want, but she's here." Liam nodded slowly. "I kept thinking about her during all this. Like, what would she do?" Mark smiled. "She would have done exactly what you did. She was strong, just like you." Their food came, and they ate in silence for a while. Then Liam asked, "What happens now? Are we going to be okay?" Mark reached across the table and squeezed Liam's hand. "Yes, we're going to be okay. It'll take time, but we have each other." Liam felt tears come to his eyes, but he held them back. He didn't want to cry in a public place, but deep inside, he felt safe again. After the meal, they walked near a lake behind the diner. The sun was setting, and the sky turned orange. Liam picked up a small rock and tossed it into the water. "Do you think she ever really cared about you? Even a little?" Mark thought for a moment. "Maybe. Or maybe she was just good at pretending. But it doesn't matter now." Liam nodded. "I just hate that she almost got away with it." "But she didn't," Mark said. "Because of you." They stood there in silence, watching the ripples in the water. Then Mark said, "We should take a break. Just the two of us. Maybe go on a trip. Somewhere quiet." Liam smiled. "That sounds nice. We need to heal," Mark said. "You've been through a lot, more than a kid should have to." "I'm not a kid anymore," Liam said. "Not after this." Mark looked at him proudly. "No, you're not." When they got home that evening, the house felt different. No Jessica, no lies. Just peace. Mark sat down on the couch and turned on a movie. Liam sat beside him. Halfway through, Mark paused the film and looked at Liam. "You know, I've always been proud of you. But now, I'm proud in a whole new way." Liam gave a small smile. "Thanks, Dad." "You were brave," Mark continued. "You stood up for what was right, even when it was hard. That takes courage." Liam leaned his head on his father's shoulder. "I was scared, really scared, but you still did it," Mark said. "That's what matters." They watched the rest of the movie together. The lights were off, and the only sound was the film playing. For once, there was no tension, no fear, no secrets. Just family. That night, Liam went to bed feeling tired, but not the bad kind of tired. The kind that comes after you've done something important. He looked at the ceiling and thought about everything. The next morning, Liam was woken by the sound of his phone buzzing on the table. He sat up and rubbed his eyes. It was still early. The sun had just started rising. He looked at the screen. It was a message from his best friend, Aaron. It said, "You okay? Saw the wedding news online? Call me." Liam sighed and got out of bed. The news had spread fast. He walked to the kitchen where Mark was already making breakfast. "Morning," Mark said with a tired smile. "Morning," Liam replied. He sat down and picked up a slice of toast. Mark placed a cup of tea in front of him and said, "People are going to talk. Just remember, we did the right thing." Liam nodded. "I got a message from Aaron. Saw the story." Mark sat across from him. "I'm not surprised. It's probably all over social media. But we don't need to explain ourselves to anyone." Liam looked down. "Do you think people will blame me?" Mark reached out and touched his hand. "No. And if they do, they're not worth listening to. You protected your family. That takes strength." Liam tried to smile. He still felt nervous. After breakfast, he went to his room and called Aaron. "Hey," Aaron answered quickly. "Dude, what happened? That video, ... was that real?" Liam replied, "Yeah, all of it." Aaron was silent for a second. Then he said, "I can't believe it. She seemed so nice when I met her. She fooled everyone." Liam said, "Even my dad." Aaron asked, "How's he doing? Better now?" Liam said, "It still hurts, but at least it's over." "Man, I'm glad you did something," Aaron said. "A lot of people would have just stayed quiet." Liam nodded. "I almost didn't say anything, but I had to." They talked for a few more minutes, then hung up. Liam put his phone down and looked out the window. He saw a car slow down in front of their house. The people inside were pointing, probably neighbors. He closed the curtain. For the next few days, Liam and Mark stayed mostly indoors. A few friends called to ask questions, but Mark didn't want to talk about it. Liam spent time reading, watching movies, and helping his dad cook. It felt like they were learning to live again. One afternoon, Mark came into Liam's room holding an envelope. "This came for you," he said. Liam looked at the envelope. It had no name on it, just his address. He opened it slowly. Inside was a letter. The handwriting was messy, but familiar. It was from Jessica. Liam's hand shook as he read the first line. "Liam, I know you hate me, and you have every right to." He kept reading. Jessica had written about how she never planned to stay long, that it was just a job. She was told to get close, take what she could, and leave. But then she wrote something strange. At first it was fake, but somewhere along the way, it started to feel real. "Your dad was kind. You were sharp. You saw what no one else did." Liam frowned. The letter continued. Jessica said she had made mistakes, but she also blamed others. She wrote about how she had been used by the same people she worked with, that she was tired of running. At the end, she wrote, "I'm sorry, not just to your dad, but to you. You were braver than any adult I've met. I hope you find peace. I don't expect forgiveness." Liam read the letter twice. Then he showed it to Mark. Mark read it silently and gave it back. "She's still trying to twist things," he said, "trying to make herself the victim." Liam nodded. "Do you think she meant any of it?" Mark paused. "Maybe, but it doesn't change what she did." Liam folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. "I just want to forget her." "We will," Mark said. one step at a time. The next day, Mark surprised Liam. "Pack your bag," he said. "We're going away for a few days." Where? Liam asked. "You'll see." Mark smiled. They drove for hours, passing hills and small towns. Finally, they reached a quiet lake surrounded by trees. Mark had booked a small wooden cabin. It was peaceful, far from the noise and eyes of the city. That night, they sat by the water with a small fire burning beside them. Mark said, "I used to bring your mom here. She loved the quiet." Liam looked up at the stars. "She would have stopped Jessica way before I did." "Maybe," Mark said. "Or maybe she would have been proud that you did." They sat in silence for a while. Then Mark said, "I think we needed this. Time to breathe, time to heal." Liam nodded. "Yeah, it feels good here. We can't change the past," Mark said, "but we can choose what we do next." Liam threw a small rock into the lake. "I choose peace." Mark smiled. "Me too." They stayed at the cabin for 3 days. No phones, no visitors. Just long walks, quiet talks, and simple meals. On the last day, Mark asked Liam, "Do you feel ready to go back?" Liam thought for a moment. "Yeah, I think I am." They packed their things and drove home. The city still felt noisy, but something had changed inside them. They were stronger now, closer. The lies were gone, the pain was real, but it was healing. And most importantly, they still had each other, and that was more than enough. Back at home, everything felt quiet. The air was still heavy, but not like before. It was different now. The silence wasn't full of secrets. It was peaceful, safe. Liam helped his father unpack their bags from the cabin trip. Mark seemed more relaxed than he had in weeks. He smiled more. He didn't talk much about Jessica anymore, but Liam could see that the hurt was still inside him. Some wounds don't heal quickly, even when the truth is out. But Liam had changed too. He felt older now, stronger in some way. He no longer walked with his head down. He had stood up for the truth, even when it meant hurting someone he cared about. A few days later, Liam went back to school. Everyone had seen the video by now. Whispers followed him in the hallways. Some students looked at him with wide eyes. Others avoided his gaze. But no one said anything mean. They were just curious. During lunch, Aaron sat next to him and asked, "You okay?" Liam nodded. "Yeah, better than before," Aaron smiled. "Good, you did the right thing, no matter what people say." Liam looked around the cafeteria. A group of girls near the window were pointing at him and talking in low voices. He turned away. "Let them talk," he said. "I don't care." But deep down, it still bothered him. He didn't want to be the center of attention. He didn't want to be known as the kid who ruined his father's wedding, even if it was for the right reason. After school, Liam walked home slowly. He passed the florist who had done the wedding flowers. The shopkeeper waved but didn't smile. Liam kept walking. At home, Mark was working on his laptop. He had reopened his small home business again, trying to focus on something normal. Liam dropped his bag and sat on the couch. "People are still talking," he said quietly. Mark looked up. "Let them. The ones who matter know the truth." Liam stared at the floor. "Do you ever wish I hadn't done it? That the wedding just happened?" Mark closed his laptop and sat beside him. "No, not for a second. You saved me. I can't imagine what would have happened if we had gone through with it." Liam looked at his dad. "But I feel like I broke something, like people look at me differently now." Mark placed a hand on his shoulder. "That's their problem, not yours." Liam leaned back. "It's just hard, you know?" Mark nodded. "I know, but it'll pass. People forget. What they won't forget is that you were honest. You stood up when it mattered most." Liam didn't reply, but those words stayed with him. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about everything. Jessica, the video, the wedding, the police. It played over and over in his head. He got up and walked to the living room. The house was dark. He sat on the couch and looked at the old family photo on the wall. His mom, his dad, and a younger version of himself. "They look so happy, Hole," he whispered. "I wish you were here, Mom. I wish I didn't have to be so strong." A tear rolled down his cheek. He wiped it away quickly. He didn't like crying, even when no one could see. Suddenly a voice came from behind. "Can't sleep." It was Mark. He walked in and sat beside Liam. "Me neither," he added. Liam gave a small smile, just thinking. Mark nodded. "Same." They sat in silence for a few moments. Then Liam asked, "Do you think you'll ever fall in love again?" Mark was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I don't know. After your mom, I never thought I could. Then Jessica came along, and now," he paused. "Now I think I'll wait. I don't want to bring someone into our life unless I'm absolutely sure." Liam looked at him. "I'd be okay with it, you know? If it was someone real, someone good." Mark smiled. "That means a lot. But for now, I just want to focus on us. You and me. We've been through enough." Liam leaned on his father's shoulder. "Yeah, we have." The next day, something unexpected happened. A letter arrived. This time it wasn't from Jessica. It was from the police. Mark opened it and read it carefully. Then he looked at Liam. "They want you to come in," he said, to give a full statement. Liam's stomach tightened. "Do I have to?" "They just want your side of the story," Mark said gently. "You're not in trouble, but your evidence helped them open a bigger case. They want to make sure they get everything right." Liam nodded slowly. "Okay." I'll do it. 2 days later, they went to the station. Liam sat in a small room with 2 officers. They asked him questions: how he found out, what he saw, how he felt. Liam answered everything honestly. They thanked him for being brave. You did the right thing, one of them said. You helped more people than you know. After the meeting, Mark took Liam out for ice cream, like they used to do when he was little. They sat on a bench outside the shop. Liam licked his cone and said, I feel better now. You should, Mark said. You faced everything head on. It still hurts, Liam admitted. 1 week after giving his full statement to the police, Liam started to feel normal again. He woke up each day without the heavy feeling in his chest. He didn't check over his shoulder anymore. He didn't worry that Jessica would suddenly come back. Life was quieter, more peaceful. Still, there were reminders everywhere. Some days at school, students whispered when he walked by. Teachers gave him careful glances, like they wanted to say something but didn't know how. Liam just kept his head down and focused on his work. He didn't want attention. He didn't want sympathy. He just wanted to move forward. At home, Mark was slowly getting back to his routines. He spent more time working in his home office, and sometimes even whistled while making dinner. Liam noticed the change. His father was trying, and that made Liam feel proud. One evening, as they ate together, Mark said, I got a call today. Liam looked up. From who? The district attorney's office, Mark said. They're preparing to take Jessica's case to court. Liam froze for a second. That fast? They said the evidence is strong, Mark explained, especially the video you showed. It helped connect her to 2 other fraud cases. Liam pushed his food around his plate. So, she's going to jail for sure. That's up to the court, Mark said. But it looks likely. Liam felt a strange mix of feelings again. Relief, anger, sadness, even fear. Do I have to go to court too? Maybe, Mark said gently. They'll let us know, but only if they need you. Liam nodded slowly. Okay. That night, Liam couldn't sleep again. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. His thoughts kept going back to Jessica's letter. The part where she said some of it started to feel real. He didn't know if she meant it. Maybe it was just another lie. But what bothered him most was how close she got. She almost became part of their family. She almost became his stepmother. And for a little while, he had almost believed she was. Good. The next morning, Liam asked his dad if they could go to the park. Mark smiled. Of course. Let's get some air. They walked to the same park where Mark and Jessica had first met. It felt strange now. The same trees, the same benches, but everything had changed. They sat near the fountain. Kids were playing nearby. An old man was feeding birds. Liam looked at the water. I wonder what would have happened if I never said anything. Mark looked at him. I think about that, too, and it scares me. Liam nodded. She would have taken everything. Our home, your money. Maybe worse, Mark said. She could have ruined us. Liam turned to his dad. But I waited too long. I should have said something earlier. Mark shook his head. You did it when it mattered. That's what counts. And you didn't just guess. You made sure. You were careful. Liam looked away. I still feel like I failed you. Mark reached over and put a hand on his shoulder. Liam, listen to me. You did not fail me. You saved me. You saved us both. Liam felt his throat tighten. He blinked fast to stop the tears. I just wanted to protect you. And you did, Mark said, better than anyone else could have. They sat there quietly for a while. Then Mark added, I know you're carrying a lot inside. If you ever need to talk, really talk, I'm here, always. Liam nodded. Thanks, Dad. That evening, Mark got another call. It was from one of Jessica's former victims, a woman named Rachel. She had seen Liam's video online and found Mark's number through a support group. She asked if she could meet them. Mark told Liam about it. She said she lost everything because of Jessica. Her savings, her car, even her job. She used the same plan on her. Liam asked. Yes, Mark said. Pretended to fall in love, promised a future, then took it all. So we weren't the only ones, Liam whispered. Not even close. 2 days later, Rachel visited their home. She was in her 30s, dressed simply, and carried a folder with documents and photos. She sat at their kitchen table and spoke softly. When I saw your son's video, I cried, not because it was shocking but because I wasn't alone. Liam listened carefully. Rachel showed them pictures of Jessica under a different name. She called herself Clara when I knew her. Same face, same lies. Rachel explained how she had been engaged to Jessica too. She had trusted her completely. Then one day, Jessica disappeared with her bank information and left her life in ruins. I felt stupid for so long, Rachel said. But now I know it wasn't just me. Liam asked, did she ever say she was sorry? Rachel shook her head. Never. She vanished. Blocked my number. I only found out her real name when your story went public. Mark thanked her for coming. It means a lot to hear this. To know we're not alone either. Rachel smiled at Liam. You're brave. What you did, it saved more than just your father. It helped all of us. Liam didn't know what to say. He just nodded. After she left, he sat on the couch and stared at the floor. There are more people out there. She could have hurt even more, but now she can't, Mark said, because of you. That night, Liam wrote in his journal, something he hadn't done since his mom passed away. He wrote about the truth, about the pain, about the relief. He wrote about being scared and doing the right thing anyway, and when he finished, he closed the journal and whispered, "I did the right thing." Then he turned off the light and slept with a quiet heart. A few weeks later, the trial date was announced. Jessica would appear in court the following Monday. The news brought a quiet tension to the house again. Mark spoke less, and Liam could tell that old memories were coming back. The fear, the betrayal, the pain. Liam wasn't sure how he felt. Part of him wanted it to be over. Another part still had questions. He wondered if she would look at them during the trial, or if she would pretend they never mattered. He wondered if she remembered anything she had said in the letter. On the morning of the hearing, Mark wore a plain black shirt and combed his hair carefully. Liam put on a simple white button-up. Neither of them spoke much as they got ready. When they arrived at the courthouse, the air was thick with tension. Journalists stood near the front entrance, cameras ready, but the officer at the door guided Mark and Liam through a side entrance to avoid attention. Inside the courtroom, everything felt cold. The judge sat high behind a wooden bench. Lawyers shuffled papers. People whispered quietly. Then the door opened and Jessica walked in. She wore a light gray prison uniform. Her hair was tied back. She looked smaller than Liam remembered, tired, pale, but her eyes were the same, unreadable. She glanced once in their direction, then quickly looked away. Liam's heart beat faster. Mark sat beside him, calm but tense. The trial began with the prosecutor presenting evidence. They played Liam's video. Jessica's voice filled the silent courtroom. Her words were cruel and clear. Liam watched people's faces as they listened. The jury looked shocked. Some even frowned. Then came witness statements. A woman cried as she spoke about losing her home. A man told the court how Jessica had emptied his mother's savings account. And then the judge called Liam. He walked to the front slowly, trying to breathe evenly. He sat in the witness chair and looked out at the room. His voice was quiet but steady as he answered the lawyer's questions. He explained how he began to suspect Jessica, how he recorded the calls, and how he exposed her on the wedding day. "Why did you do it?" the lawyer asked. Liam paused for a moment. "Because I had to. She wasn't just lying. She was dangerous. And my dad, he didn't see it. I had to protect him." The lawyer nodded. "That was very brave of you." Liam returned to his seat. Mark squeezed his hand gently. "You did good," he whispered. Jessica didn't speak much during the trial. Her lawyer tried to argue that she had changed, that she was manipulated by others, but the evidence was strong. The lies too deep. After 2 full days of hearings, the jury gave their decision. Guilty, on all charges. The judge sentenced her to 9 years in prison with no chance of early release. Jessica didn't cry, she didn't speak. She just stood there quietly as the officers led her away. As she passed by Liam and Mark, her eyes met Liam's for a split second. There was something in her expression, not anger, not regret, but something else. Then she looked away and was gone. Outside the courtroom, reporters rushed toward them, but the officer shielded them again. Mark thanked him and guided Liam to the car. They drove home in silence. At a red light, Mark said, "It's done." Liam nodded. "Yeah, it's finally over." That night, Mark made dinner spaghetti with garlic bread, Liam's favorite. They sat at the table, a quiet celebration between just the two of them. "Do you feel different?" Mark asked. Liam thought for a moment. "A little lighter. Like we're free now," Mark smiled. "We are, thanks to you." Liam looked at him. "I couldn't have done it without you trusting me." Mark shook his head. "You earned that trust. You've grown so much." After dinner they watched an old family video. Liam's mother was in it, laughing in the kitchen while Mark danced badly in the background. Liam was just a toddler, chasing bubbles. They both laughed and cried as they watched it. "She would have been proud of you," Mark said quietly. "She always said you'd be strong." Liam felt tears form in his eyes, but this time, he didn't hide them. He let them fall. Not because he was hurt, but because he felt safe. He felt loved. Later that week, they visited the cabin again. Just for a day. The sky was blue, the lake calm. Liam stood at the water's edge and threw small stones across the surface. Mark joined him, skipping one perfectly. "Not bad," Liam said, smiling. "Still got it," Mark grinned.